Big news out of the University of Nebraska. Shawn Eichorst is no longer the athletic director of the University of Nebraska. The Huskers moving forward. Chancellor Ronnie Green and President Hank Bounds having a news conference Thursday afternoon. Shawn, let's talk about this. What was your initial reaction to this move?
Well, late last week, I just started to hear some moves of some conversations going on behind the scenes that really made you wonder, is there something going on? And the Black Friday fiasco and how all that played out, and the handling of that, and that press conference where it almost felt like Eichorst was pleading for what he's done and trying to list off his accomplishments. It just didn't feel right. And then the post-game press conference as well, similar feel. It came off more desperate, I'm fighting for my life, than, I'm trying to be the leader of the department. So I think if they were going to make this move, this is probably when it had to be done, because there is an opportunity for momentum to come back the other way in the next 2 or 3 weeks with 2 games that you maybe could win against Illinois and Rutgers, and then a big home game against Wisconsin. You just never know. And I think if you let it play out further and the momentum goes the other way and you don't want him there, it'd be pretty hard to get rid of him at that point. So I think they knew that your windows to do this are very limited, and no matter when you do it, it's going to be met with debate, and they felt like this was the best time to do it.
And the reason why, they say they want to be competitive in all sports, but let's be honest, this is about football. The Huskers are 16-13 under Mike Riley, and I think if they don't lose to Northern Illinois, it's a different story perhaps this week, but you thought that this move was coming regardless.
Well, and let's be real. Nebraska's a lot closer right now to 0-3 than they are to 3-0. You look at the Arkansas State game, the way that played out, the first half at Oregon, and then obviously Saturday. I mean, it has not been what it's supposed to look like. None of this has looked like what it's supposed to look like in year 3 of a coaching change. It has looked more rebuilding. Players have not developed like you thought they should be developed right now. So I think there's a lot of things that came into account here, and it's just not easy to make these decisions. And I just felt like they had to do it at this point if they were going to do it.
This is your wheelhouse. What does this mean to recruiting?
Well, yeah, it will be interesting. I think Mike Riley can still, if he has a good finish, which I think is a big if, but if they were to go 7-5, which would be 6-3 in the conference, I don't think you make a move on him at that point. But there's so many speculatives. Who's the new AD? What role is Tom Osborne going to have? We know he's going to have a role in this going forward. And I think that's a big X factor in all this, getting Tom Osborne back involved in some way, because he was kind of just pushed out the door. Let's call that what it is now when you look back at the way Shawn Eichorst was hired. Mike, Osborne had no involvement in that decision at all, and he was told that he would have involvement, and that never sat well, and then the way he left and all that played out. I think they want Osborne involved in a council role in some way or another, give him a desk in the department somewhere, and we'll see. I mean, Trev Alberts is going to be the name everyone talks about, but there are a lot of other top national candidates out there, and if you get a search firm involved, you just never know what direction they'll go.
And finally, there's a football game to be played on Saturday.
What?
How does this affect the preparations, since the coaching staff was alerted of this decision on Thursday morning? They make the press conference Thursday afternoon, the big announcement.
Well, I think when you look at from the staff, yeah, it's a high-stress moment. I'll never forget the day Bill Callahan found out Steve Peterson was fired. He was in his office yelling and screaming, and he was as upset as you're going to see. And, I'm sure Mike Riley, we know he doesn't get upset like that, but this is not a good day when you're the head football coach, when the guy that hires you, who took a huge chance to hire you, all of a sudden is let go. If they're, as long as Eichorst was here, Riley was safe. Now Eichorst is gone. So Riley obviously has a lot of things, to figure out here, these final 9 games of the season, and it's not going to be pretty. I still believe, though, the fan base, when you gauge the temperature out there, most people support this decision. I really feel that right now. It's not met with a lot of controversy. You've got the media, the state's largest newspaper, I believe the World Herald, is highly behind this. So when you've got these big media voices kind of supporting this decision, I think they made it right, because I think that's a big part of this right now.
Well, the first step is naming an interim athletic director. That could come in the next couple of days. And then the permanent athletic director. No timetable set, but they want to do it sooner rather than later. Shawn Eichorst out as athletic director at the University of Nebraska.